Hi, everyone. I'm so happy that you are here. I know that Robert's here and he already gave his super sticker, and I truly appreciate that. And today I have my special guest, Sharon. I'm going to ask you to say her last name,
Montanez.
Montanez.
Yes.
So I met Sharon, wasn't in Allentown. I had met you before that, somewhere along the line.
Mm-mm.
I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. But Allentown was the first time I think we really got to talk. You did some
Yes,
amazing healing on me. Will you share with us what it is that you do and how that came about?
sure. I love to talk about this. So if I get long winded, just cut me off. I'm an intuitive healer. So, Reiki, a lot of people know what I do is Reiki. I like to call it intuitive healing because I use Reiki as the modality, but I feel like I always say I feel like a fronter because I don't use the symbols necessarily that Usui Reiki taught
Mhm.
when I do the work that I do. It's just a part of the journey that I've had in learning to do this modality that's kind of evolved. So I learned to Sui Reiki. That was the first Reiki that I got attuned to, and then I took different modalities. I just started to learn from different teachers and different people. And over the past since 2018, I've been doing this pretty much full time. I've just picked up so many different attunements, if you will, or just energies that have come in and information that's come in. So I work a lot with Kundalini energy. Crystal Reiki was one of the things that I was attuned to, golden light, cosmic light, really working with universal energy. And what's really fun about what I do, and I love to talk about, I really tapped into my heritage, my lineage. I'm Puerto Rican. And what I did not know was that the Tainos, which were the natives that were on the island of Puerto Rico, were actually the healers of the Caribbean. I
Oh,
didn't know
wow.
that. Isn't
I
that
didn't
cool?
either.
Yeah, I didn't know it either. But what's amazing and I grew up, my father was in the army, so I was actually born in New Jersey and have grown up all over the US. We've traveled all over the world, really. We lived in Germany, we moved to Hawaii. And then, I was all over the place, but I was always really, really tapped into my heritage of being Puerto Rican. My parents just love the music and the culture and all of that. So I got really connected to Puerto Rico, and I would go as often as I can. And as an adult, I went as many times as I can. And I got really attached to this one symbol, which was a shaman symbol, which is carved in the side of a mountain in Puerto Rico. It was the symbol of the shamans of the Tainos, which is part of my logo. I don't know if you can see my logo, but it's a part of it. It's the sun and the moon. So
Mhm.
I really dove into that to try to understand kind of what that energy healing was about, what that type of healing that my culture, that my lineage, excuse me, use. Went to Puerto Rico, tapped into the cookie, which is the frog that lives in Puerto Rico. It's a little teeny tiny frog that can only live on the island of Puerto Rico, or it only could live. I mean, Cuba's right next door, would not survive. Dominican Republic would not survive. So it connected in with this little frog. They moved it to Hawaii. There's a tide story there because I lived there when I was a child. They moved that frog to Hawaii, and now those are the only two places in the entire world that the coqui, the little frog, lives.
Oh, wow. And it's
So
interesting that you were in both places.
exactly. And so I tapped into that. I was like, well, why? I just start to ask guides and God and universe, like, why? What's the information that I got? And when I gathered, when I understood, I stayed at a place in Utuado in Puerto Rico. They have the old satellite. It was the biggest satellite in the world in near Arecibo, Puerto Rico, and that satellite since has gone down because of hurricanes. But it's still a very scientific place that they use currently. And I actually stayed there for 3 nights alone, just me, my mom, and my sister. They rented like an Airbnb kind of area there, and I tuned into the cookie. And the information that I got, that I understood from that, was that's where the Tainos were getting information of healing
Oh,
frequencies.
wow.
That this singing that this frog does, that they say it's a mating call, but it's this beautiful cookie sound. That's why it's called the cookie. It sings it at night, all night long. When I was outside meditating and just listening, just really listening to nature and asking what this was about, this overwhelming information, energy came over me. And that's when things really shifted for me. And that's when I dove into this super full time and knew that this is exactly what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
As
you answered your calling.
yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. As a child, I, grew up, my parents didn't have, we weren't really religious. We went from Catholic to then I was baptized Catholic. Then my mom became a Jehovah's Witness. And then from there, it was like nothing. So my whole life, I was like kind of searching and not sure religion, spirituality, but always had this knowing. My very first memory was a premonition. I was 3 years old and we were in Germany. We were driving through Spain actually. And there was a truck in front of us. And I still remember this pretty vividly. There was a truck in front of us and I started to cry. I remember being really afraid and telling my parents to get away from this truck. It was like an oil tanker. And we went left and the truck went right. And we were, or left, right. I'm not sure, went different directions. We were supposed to go the way of the truck. I knew that for sure because we were going to go on the coastline. And that truck ended up exploding.
Wow.
And that was my very first memory.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
yeah. So it was like things like that my whole life. And I just, I never really understood it and was searching and trying to understand all of these things. And as an adult, got married, became a mom. And career really took over. And that's where my focus went, was that
Yeah.
doing the 3D world, if you will, life.
Yeah.
But through that, I was a sales and operations director in retail for years. That's what I did. Ran a lot of stores, and I would be able to go in and just know things. Like they knew if I was coming in, if there was things like, not silly, but big things like theft or something just wasn't right in the energy in the store, I wouldn't know. And that it just kind of I kept tapping into just this knowing and just this information, feeling people really mostly. That was really the success that I had in my career, was being able to feel people and energies of people and change and help individuals. And that's always what I wanted to do. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that must have been overwhelming, being in a retail setting and having all that, being so intuitive and feeling all this from other people. You must have got overwhelmed.
it would be overwhelming at times, but I didn't know, right? You don't know, like
Yeah.
I just thought it was stress of work because it's a retail environment. So that's already a stressful environment. And I'm coaching and developing teams and staff members and traveling all over the place. So yeah, it was very overwhelming. But it was what guided me to just this, right? Because I'm like, why am I feeling this way? Or what is this overwhelming? And then of course, spirit, God, universe, however your audience connects that information, we just get guided to where we're supposed to be. And I ended up moving to California when my daughter went off to college. And it was the first time in my life that I had really been alone without family or having a child and all of those things. And that was when I found Kundalini energy, Kundalini yoga, and really was able to then start to really develop and understand what was happening. And as soon as that trip was over, or that time in California with that career, I left it. I went back to Maryland, back to the East Coast, and my whole life started over in 2018.
Yeah.
So it's just been
It's amazing how that happens. But so many people, because they don't have that openness or that understanding, they miss their calling. They miss the signs. They miss the symbols, the sounds. I love the fact that you were in Puerto Rico, listening at night, connecting to nature, because that is so important. I sometimes just listen to the birds, and you can hear them. They're communicating, but they're not just communicating to each other. They're communicating to us too.
Yes.
It really is all the same thing. It's like the trees are vibrating out to us.
Yes.
It's all vibrating out to us. Look at it. We're getting so excited.
Because it's true. I want everybody to see it when you feel it. That's the energy that I get. I get so alive.
Yeah. And it's like, when I work with clients, especially with counseling, I really, I say so many times, I wish I could flip the mirror around so you could see what I see within you, because they're so bogged down with the crap of this world that it's so sad. You have this amazing love that radiates out from you. That I've seen you at a couple of shows, and you're always so busy, and I get it, because people want to have what you have. It's really just you get drawn in. I want to say hi. Robert says hello. And I'm glad that you talked about the different things that you talked about, because Robert, I know I met him, and he came to see me in Allentown, and he's at that point, he's getting the calling. He's not quite sure where to go, and he's just feeling it out. So I hope that he gets a lot out of what you're saying. And Marsha's here. She's driving, so she's not going to be commenting. Please don't drive safe, Marsha. Marsha has a show in Lighton Heights on Monday night. Goldylocks has some really good show hosts, good shows. There's like 6 of us. But yeah, so to get back to you, so you work out of Maryland or Delaware?
Maryland. I just opened a little studio June 3rd. It was my first client in Havre de Grace, Maryland. So it's like right on the southern part, real close to Delaware.
Yeah. So are you going to be at Karma Fest?
I will, only on Sunday because my niece is getting married Saturday, but I'll be there Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, because I'll be there all weekend.
I will see you.
Yes. I'm in the carriage house.
I wanted to be outside.
Well, I just always like to be covered. And I don't do a tent. I don't do the tent thing. So it's like there's so many shows, but it's just like, I just don't want to. If I was 20 years younger, yeah, maybe I'd be dragging tents around. I'm not doing that now. But congratulations on the studio.
Thank you.
That's really awesome.
Yeah,
do you have, that's really cool. Do you have people that work there also, or is it just you?
It's just my studio for now. I have a friend that her name, the Aquarian Rebels, what her business is called, but she's also a healer and she's got her little studio next door. So her and we actually do shows together, a lot of shows together. And it just happened to, I was in Havre de Grace with my dad, how spirit is. I said, I need to find a spot. And we found one that day just in seconds. And there was another one right next door available. So I'm like,
nice.
I'm like, it's for us.
Nice. Yeah.
It's just me and my little studio and she's next door and we kind of partner that way. So that's good.
I love when it works out that way. And that's what it's like, being open with the flow. Like when we were talking about what we're going to talk about, I said, let's just flow, because that's the way it goes. You plan the plans and it doesn't work out that way. Like when I do the show alone, I'll have like this topic and all this stuff I want to talk about. And next thing I'm somewhere else. I just like, okay, give me what I need to put out there for whoever needs to hear whatever they need to hear. So when we spoke about you coming on the show, you had mentioned that you did a series.
I did.
Could you?
I have a podcast. It's called Vibe with Love. It's still live. It's still being streamed. It's still being pulled. And really what it is, it's about the spiritual journey. It actually talks about my whole spiritual journey from birth to 2018. That's kind of where I left it.
Wow.
I did that during the pandemic is when I started to do that podcast. And I just kind of left it there as sitting, and who knows, I would love to build on it again. In fact, I think I'm being called to do that. I'd love for people to share stories of their healing as well, of their healing, what's happened in their life and the transition, the change that can come if you're just open to just finding yourself.
Yeah. And I think it's so important. And that's why when Tiffany asked me to do a show, I was a guest on Marsha's show. And after the show, she said, "You're natural. You should have your own show." And I said, "You're the third person that said I should have a podcast." So I guess maybe I'm being guided that way. Yeah. So, but I said, I wanted my show to be about people coming on, sharing their story and how they ended up doing what they're doing. So it's healers with different modalities and things, because I find it so important to share our journeys, because it's like people see you where you are now and they don't know where you came from. And they're out there struggling, thinking that they're alone. Yeah. But by sharing our raw, authentic selves, we can help so many more people than just saying, "Oh yeah, I'm here." I'm not telling you how I arrived, but I'm here. Yeah, and we're not always here. We still have our days. It's like, okay, you balance everything, but it doesn't stay balanced. It's not like you flip a switch and it stays on. Yeah. Okay, I'm all balanced. I'm all good.
I say that all the time. I do this. I think this is probably what you meant too. Also, I do Motivational Monday. That's okay. Sure. I do that on social media, and they're just channel messages that come in every Monday, just about every Monday. If they don't come in, I don't do it. and I just put them live on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn even. And I do that for these messages for exactly what you're saying. And the one thing that I say all the time is that everybody thinks I'm so zen and I have I do not. I do
Yeah,
not.
no.
This is a journey, right? This is
Yes.
half the time, these motivational Mondays, these messages that were received are my lessons for the week that I get to share. And I just think that a lot of people do see us as healers, and they think that there's this misconception of, I always think you think it's so zen like Buddha. It's not. We're still here dealing with this.
And we're not the healers. We're the conduit.
Exactly.
We're just open vessels to receive it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like, we don't have some special power.
Nope.
We're just open and connected. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I had my gifts when I was little, didn't know what was going on. My family just thought I had imaginary friends and stuff. So it was something that was never nurtured, and I blocked it. And I was so confused, and it created all these struggles in my life because I had no understanding, and it wasn't like it is today. Back in the 60s, it was like, the gypsy with the wagon going through town. That was probably the closest thing. But, so by sharing all my struggles, I think I help more people. And when you said that about the messages are usually for you, I find that when I get counseling clients, like a new counseling client comes in, and it's like wherever they're at, it's something that I just had happened to me, or something that, I'm going through myself. So it kind of, knocks me back to reality, Mary, you are still just learning too, it keeps coming along. But that's what makes it so much fun. And I do share a lot about myself because I'm a minister and I do spiritual counseling. So it's different than traditional therapy. So I get a little bit more connected with my clients. I still keep a professional, the boundaries on things, but I'll share stories about, how, for example, I have a client that her father-in-law is dying of Parkinson's. My father died of Parkinson's. So I can share that from a knowing experience because I lived it. So I find that when I share those kind of things with clients, it really helps. When I used to do personal training, I was obese as a child and early adulthood. I struggled with my weight most of my life. And when I changed my ways and changed my way of eating, and I got into personal training, when I shared that story with people, it was very different because they knew I understood.
Right.
And, I wasn't always fit. I didn't love, working out or going to the gym. I made it a part of my life. So I connected with so many more people than some of the, the bodybuilder type trainers, or, just because I was real. I was who I was, and I didn't hide it. And that's it. So, and speaking of shape, you are in amazing shape. You have the best arms going. I mean, people say Michelle Obama has good arms, but you got it, girl. You got really good arms.
You.
So what do you do? Do you do yoga?
That's it. I practice
just yoga.
And I do a lot. Well, I do a lot of handstands in yoga. I love to do handstands.
Yeah, there's the arms.
I do it it helps flip my energy when I start to get not grounded, or I start to get a bit overwhelmed. I'll go into a handstand because it just helps me. Kind of just breathe different.
I miss I used to have an inversion table, and when I downsized, I had to get rid of it. And I'm like, I miss that because it's the same thing. It would help the energy flip around. And it wasn't really just for the back, it was for everything. Just getting that, looking at life from the other side.
Exactly. And it's so funny because people are like, oh, you don't struggle. Or somebody told me just about 2 months ago, I was having a bad day. And he was like, you're not allowed to have a bad day. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not allowed to have a bad day? Do you see my arms? I have a lot of bad days. And it was so funny. Well, at least it keeps my arms strong. No,
I said something. This goes back years ago when I was still in Florida. I had this young client, and I said something about, you have a bad thought, you don't focus on it. She's like, you have bad thoughts? I said, I'm sure Jesus had bad thoughts. We all do. We just don't act on them.
Exactly. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Well, when we do, we know we did, and we know it's a shadow, and we know that there's work that needs to be done, and all those
Yes,
things.
right. Right. That's why. Like, why is this happening? Like, it's like the bad days, I like to look at them as learning days, because
Yes.
really it's like, okay, what is occurring? Why did I attract this in? Because it's always happening for us, never to us. So it kind of gives us that, like, that mirror. Hey, it's time to take a look within at yourself and not about,
Right.
other people or whatever. So
That's
it
exactly right.
really is how your perception is, how you look at things. I think it was today I posted on their social media about perception, and it was the dandelion, the when it has the little puff things holding
Mhm.
it, and it's like it's all about perception, because it's either a flower or a weed, right?
That's exactly right.
It's how you
Yes.
see the world. How do you see the world when you unplug from the television and all of the crap that's going on? You can
Yes.
go in nature and
That's it.
listen to the trees and the birds and connect
Yes.
to what's important. This
That's right.
great creation, it's still here, and there's you're either going to get it or you don't get it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking. We only have Marcia and Robert. I don't get a lot of chatters. I don't usually give messages, and I think a lot of people that come on for the chats, that's what they're
Yeah.
looking for, messages. And if I'm doing a show alone, yeah, I'll do some, but I really think it's more important about getting the message out of what we were just talking about, the journey, how you got where you got.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about that. I know that you worked in retail, which is very challenging, because I was in the food industry, and those hours and everything are crazy, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. It's a different life. We end up living as the product that we have been programmed to believe that we're supposed to. You go to college, you get a career, you have a family, and then you're
Yep.
like, well, who am I? You wake up one day, it's like, how did I
Exactly.
get here and who am I? So you went to California, and that's when it shifted, or were you
It
feeling
had
it
been
more?
shifting. Yeah, I think that it was the time. I think it was just timing. It was just timing in life, because my life had been so crazy. I mean, there's so much, as you can imagine, that had happened in those years before, divorces and just trying to figure out just life. And but when I got there, I think it was just that time to be alone, and that's what I tell so many people that are struggling, right, with all of this outside noise, and they have to try to please. We're so often trying to please or fit in that box that you were talking about. The 3D box is what I used to call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's why, like, and we create these barriers for ourselves within that box. So when I was able to really step out and just be alone and find that time alone for myself, and realize that it's not selfish, right? And I was caring for so many people because I just wanted that same love back. It's funny that you said that I bring love, because my business is called, or I hate to call it a business, but my practice, I'll rather call it that, is called With Love.
Yeah.
And the reason that I call it that is because everything I do it with love. And for me, that is the highest vibration there is. That is the highest frequency. That is what we all want to feel at the end of the day. So if I can
Right.
come with that energy, and I bring that energy with intention every day with literally everything that I do, that passion, how could it be wrong?
Right.
Right? If the intention of that love is good. And for me, that's the connection to everybody. And um, so that being alone is what did that for me. It was really helped just to really go within and to get quiet and to just quiet all that noise. I don't know, you talked about TV, and I'm on the internet obviously because of social media, just to try to get these messages out there and spread
Right.
it. But I try not to get in there and listen to the noise because it's so overwhelming, for me anyway, personally. So those that are
It can
struggling,
be.
or going on that journey, just get quiet is the biggest thing that I say, is to go within and to listen to your physical body. It's funny, that was the motivational Monday information that came in the past couple of weeks has been about that. Most recently is for us to really to listen to our physical body of what's happening. We know mind, body, spirit, and we think of it in that way. I was, just like I was a personal trainer too for a little while. I love that.
Yeah.
We coach, right? And when I would coach, I would say, you got to see it. You got to see it, and then you could do it. If you see it, then.
Yeah.
But what I realized most recently is that it's hard if you don't physically, if you can't physically do it, and you're not listening to your physical body. How can you know that you can? So sometimes
Right.
it's doing it in a different order, and the physical body, as as we say all the time, that's just this is the vessel that guides our ethereal body. Everything that's happening in our energy body, our physical body is telling us.
Right.
But we don't
Right.
get quiet enough to listen, or if we don't do things about it, or if we don't put the right stuff in this physical body, our energy body's never going to, and our vibration won't raise, and we're going to get stuck in the muck of all of these things. And how can then we think differently if we don't feel different?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I'm Wellness Mary, because I did the training, and I studied nutrition, and I did. And so it came all, full circle, and I never changed Wellness Mary because people knew me for almost 2 decades as Wellness Mary. So why would I change that? I just morphed what I did, and now I nourish mind, body, and soul. But you're right, because it is. And when I got into nutrition, I used to say garbage in, garbage out. So if you're nourishing your body with garbage, your thoughts, everything is going to feel like garbage, feel like garbage. So it is such a connection. And now, with the way things are, it is a real challenge to nourish our bodies correctly,
Right.
because they are altering the food so much. And
Yeah.
even, I'm a super with supplements, because the soils are depleted. So
Right.
you're not getting the nutrients from the plants that you would have years ago. It's not like when our ancestors walked this earth and they gardened and they grew, and they were farmers, and they shared their different crops and things. We need to go back to that, is what we
Agreed.
need. But it's like we're in such a toxic environment, and it comes at us every which way. You go out, you take a walk to be healthy, but you're getting bombarded with toxins in the environment. So what do? You have to do some detox, whether it's infrared sauna or just flush your system on occasion, do some type of a cleanse. But when you're saying that about knowing your body and listening to your body, because your body guides you.
Right.
If you have a craving for something, it means you're deficient in something.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to get to know yourself. And most people have a hard time being quiet, Sharon. They really have a struggle going within, because there's such a fast pace. Where's my phone? I've got to check my phone. I got to do this. I got to do that. And it's like, just go in the stillness. When I'm with my grandkids now, my granddaughter's going to be 8, my grandson's going to be 6. And, they're like, they get all excited. And one time I was watching them, I'm like, shh, shh, listen. And it's quiet. And you hear that? That's your Mima's favorite sound. And I sit outside with them, and we bird watch, and we listen to the sounds, and we look at the clouds. And I think it's so important to really get young children connected, because it's just insane. It's just insane. Take that time. Robert said, Sharon, do you do the health expo at the Ag Hall in Allentown, PA?
Is that the Mums Festival that we just did?
No, it must be another one. Is that different than the Mums Festival, Robert, that you were at? Because Sharon was there. So we'll wait and see what he says. I have to laugh because Marcia, she said her only comment so far, I want my gypsy wagon back. I miss that. Good to hear the stories, though, because she's like me. She travels around a lot. So it's, we're on the road. A lot of times we'll be on the phone, and we're like, where are you coming from? Where are you going? So she's got that gypsy soul also. I'm getting a little tired of it. Yeah, I'm getting a little tired of it, though. I kind of want to slow down a little bit. I'm hoping that this show will give me that ability, and I'll get out there, by doing this show and sharing with others. While we're going to take a break right now, I hope. Tiffany hasn't given me a warning, but I know we're like halfway in the show. We'll take a break for my sponsor, but we'll be back in 8 seconds, I think. Wait, Tiffany didn't report. Hi, we're back. So, intention teddies. Did you meet her in Lewis? You were at Lewis, right?
I was, but I didn't. I was so busy. I didn't leave my
Yeah,
booth that day.
I know. Because I think I went, you were in another room than I was in. And I think
Mhm.
every time I went in to say hi to you, you were busy. You were busy. You were busy. You
Yeah.
were busy. I'm usually pretty busy then. He said Sharon was at Ag Hall the same time you were. Yes, but the health expo, Robert, is that a different event? That's what we would like to know. Yes, so I like Lewis. Lewis is good. And I
Yeah, I
have
was
to share with
wondering.
you. I was out bike riding yesterday. Didn't get a bike ride in today because it's been raining. And I'm riding around here and I had this premonition of me riding that bike trail in Lewis. Do you know
Really?
that one?
I don't know it.
Yes. Well, I know it because when I go to the ferry to go to New Jersey,
Uh-huh.
it crosses over the road that takes you to Cape Henlopen, and I see the bikers all the time. So I have no idea where it goes, but I had
Hmm.
this like me on that trail. It's getting
Hmm.
close. It's getting
Yeah.
close.
Yes.
So I'm hoping when I'm in Rehoboth, the 16th, 17th, and I'll leave the 18th. I'll get there on the 15th. Um, that I make some good connections. So I looked up a couple of places to go in, metaphysical shops and things like that, and
Okay.
just put the word out and see what I can find. Because I love that area.
I do
I love
too.
that.
I had never been to Lewis before. That was the first time I'd actually ever been there.
Really,
It was during the
really,
show. I've been to Rehoboth and Ocean City and that, but not
yeah,
Lewis. We went to dinner, Jenna and I, my friend, we went to dinner the night of the show, the night before the show.
yeah,
I love that little town. There's something magical
yeah.
about that place.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it there. And that event, I stayed this time right there because they have rooms right there. Did you know that?
Yeah, I stay there too.
Oh, you did?
Hmm.
Well, I was well, I was there. Judy
Yogi was
stays
there
there
with
too.
Shilpa. Yeah.
Yeah, Judy told me about it
Judy,
at
me
that, and I
too.
was
Yeah.
like, this is so nice. I wonder if they do long-term rentals. I could
Oh,
I
that's a
could
thought.
just
Maybe
move
the
here.
college. I think it's out off of the college from the maybe that would be cool.
Yeah, yeah. I really like that place. It's really nice. So, oh, he didn't answer. That was the same thing. So where are we going here from here? We've talked about the mind body connection. Oh, I know what I wanted to because when you were talking about the different energies and the Kundalini and the Yusui, I've done the Yusui. I did level two, and I did Celtic. I did level two. And then you said that you don't use the symbols in a way. And when I used to do Reiki, I don't do it, I don't offer it as a service. But when I was in South Carolina and in Florida, I always just called it energy work because I did a combination of what I
Yeah.
learned from both modalities. And then with my intuition, and I would receive messages while they were on the table. And I get the no symbol thing
Yeah.
because you know the energy is there, it knows where to go, the intention.
Yeah.
And you talked about it, the intention of love. We should all, no matter what it is we're doing, we should do it with intention of love. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
agree 100%.
yeah, we need to get back to that. We
Yeah.
really do.
And I was thinking about what you were saying, how, we've dealt with certain things and you could be more empathetic to some of your clients because of the things that we've been through. And I think about that all the time too. When people, because I know that you said Robert was kind of in his way and he's searching and he's getting there in this, all the things that we have that we think that we can't do this because of those things or because of our past or because of our fears. Those are the reasons that we're supposed to do it. That's where our
Right.
calling is. I say that to clients all the time. Like, you wouldn't be able to help somebody, or this horrible thing happened. And I hate that this horrible thing happened. We can't change that. There's nothing that we can do about the past. So what do we do with it? That's information that you have that you can hold on to, not with emotion as pain, but you can take that as information and emotion of love and now share that with somebody that's feeling the same way, that feels alone.
I love that.
That's
That's beautiful.
that's that's why we go through the things that we go through. We can truly have true empathy. Like, so some of the
right.
most horrible things are, I don't wish them on anybody, but we wouldn't know the good without the bad, would we? We wouldn't know.
No. No, in the past, it does not defy the person we are today. We
No.
are still, we are children of God, the universe, whatever you choose to call it. And we're made of love. We are love.
That's it.
We might have made bad decisions, but that doesn't change the fact that we are love.
That's right. The bottom, the core of who we are is that. That's what we're built from. That's what we're trying to search for. I'm just going to plug my computer in. It's getting a little low on battery, so I apologize.
Okay, go ahead.
My movements.
We don't want to lose you.
Yeah, I say that all the time. When I try to explain, people aren't feeling themselves or sad or upset. I always say, you feel that way because you're not in alignment with your truth and who you are. Because if you were in alignment with who you are and your truth, you wouldn't be sad. You wouldn't feel negative. You wouldn't feel these negative emotions. So what we need to do, and what we just do is, to your point, we just tune in, and anybody can do it. Tune into your body, and that's what the energy healing does, and it just kind of gets those frequencies right again, even for the moment. Because when you get them right for the moment, you know when they're not right in the moment that they're not. And now you can focus on that and where it is in your physical body and where that release needs to happen. But we wouldn't know. Right. We wouldn't know if we didn't have those things. So just the journey.
And we do get those negative emotions, but we have to stop and ask, okay, what is going on? What is bringing up this negative emotion? Where, like you said, where am I out of alignment? What is it that I need to correct and see? Because we do live in this, like, it's not just the toxins on the physical body, but the emotional, the spiritual body. Yes. It's like we got slings and daggers coming at us everywhere, all the time. So, you got to put on that armor and know where your vibrational frequency is and what's going on. And the atmosphere, the vibrational frequency shifts and changes. The planetary alignments shift and change. So it's constant because we are all part of that. It's really cool, though, once you get it.
Yeah.
Because you'll be like, for me, like if I'm having a night that I'm not sleeping right, I'm like, okay, where's that moon? Like what stage is it in?
Yes. What's happening with the planets right now? Yes. I do that all the time.
And it's really an intense time right now.
I know.
I'm not an astrologer, but I know that. And then the full moon is the new moon was in Gemini. Last week I said it was going to be in Capricorn. I had that wrong. And that's a wonky time because it's like a very confusing time. We overthink things. We got things going on, and it affects all of us. But some people don't understand that they're being affected by that. It's an element outside of us, and it's not us. Yes, and that vacillating of thinking about, like we were saying about the past. So if you did something that wasn't your highest best, you made a poor decision. If you continue to question that and put the energy on that, well, guess what? It's just going to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. Right. So that's where we have to shift and understand that, okay, it was a thing. And what do I get from that thing? Where am I going to learn and where am I going to grow and what's going to happen from here?
Not stay stuck in that vibration. That's just going to magnetize more of that.
Right. Yeah. And it's, I just used this example with a client today because I said, it's like we always have thoughts. So if you're thinking back of something negative, you don't focus on it. It's like when you meditate, thoughts don't go away. You let them roll by. You don't just put the energy on it. You stay whether you're doing focal point or breath or whatever you're doing. But the thoughts never stop coming. It's just if you put the energy into them, guess what? They're going to be the star of the show.
Exactly. It seems so simple, but it's so hard because we get caught in our emotion, and then our mind starts to spin, and that's where the work is. And I just want to help everybody.
And it is, I do too. And it is simple, but it isn't because we are products of false program beliefs that this
Mhm.
society, I don't know where it happened,
Read.
where the breakdown started, because we come into this world as these beautiful, innocent infants.
Yes,
We trust that everything we need is going to be provided for.
that's right.
And we should still be that way as an adult, that we are deserving of all the abundance and all the prosperity and all the love and all the whatever
Yes.
it is. There is enough to go around, but we've
Yeah.
created this upside down world of
Yeah.
craziness.
Yeah.
So
Competition and who's better than the next and who's stronger and who's more in control instead of just flowing together as one. Like if we could just all
right.
love each other or just even just have empathy. Even if you don't like somebody's personality or their choices, that's okay. But why does it have to affect you so deeply that you have to hurt somebody else? Just being yourself. Stay in your
Right.
love. If that doesn't resonate with you, okay. We can't change.
Yes.
I can't make you think any different, but you got to go within yourself and then also then figure out if there is a negative emotion to that thing, why
Right.
does it affect you in that way? Where does that, if you're love and they're love, then why is that bad, unless they're doing something
Yeah.
bad, obviously.
Well, yeah, and if you're not doing harm on another person, then
Right,
there shouldn't be any problem. As long as
right,
whatever you're doing is, you consensual with whoever you're doing with, whatever you're doing, just let it be.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's your business. I remember back when, because I was born in New Jersey also, Sharon, and I was raised Catholic. I was baptized Catholic, so we have a lot in common. Um, but I remember that the whole dogma of religion, and I never really bought a lot of this stuff. I kind of bucked it, but it was like, why does it matter? I give you the freedom to believe what you want to believe.
Right.
Why can't you do the same for me? Back in Florida, I dated a guy. He was a Baptist. He was raised Catholic, but he went to Baptist, and that's fine. But he thought he was going to save me because I'm spiritual. I'm universal. And I'm like, I don't need to be saved.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm still friends with him to this day. We don't have the religious, spiritual discussion, but we're still friendly because we did respect each other. But that's what I said to him. I was like, I respect your beliefs. Why can't you just respect my beliefs? And I am a
Yeah.
spiritual universal minister, and I counsel people of all walks of life. And it's
Yes.
not like I don't say, well, your beliefs are wrong. No, they're not wrong. They're your beliefs and they're right for you. And that's
Exactly.
okay because I love you anyway. Because
And
it's
if it
not,
brings love,
yes, yes, and it makes you joyous and happy, then go have at it, right?
yes,
Like, so,
exactly. Exactly.
yeah. And
Exactly.
this is why you and I and Marcia and Ruth and Robin and all the other Goldylocks people and Tiffany for doing this beautiful Goldylocks production. It's spreading that, creating that ripple effect. So that it doesn't have to be the way that this mainstream, all the crap that they put on TV, and it's so, like I said, it's so upside down. It's all about the drama. Let's follow this reality TV show, and and then you're twisted. And you talked about knowing your truth, so you know that you are loved. Most
Yeah.
people have no clue who they are, or what ignites their passion, or what they're about, because they're
Yeah.
so far out there and not connected.
Yeah. I find that I am excited about that. I know you talked about your grandbabies and the next generation. I find that this next generation is a bit different. I'm hoping. I'm praying. I've been working with a lot of teenagers recently. It's where I've been called. And especially the ones between right now, it's been between 14 and about 17 years old has been kind of a chunk of what's coming. And what I realized and what the gift that they gave me was that those children at this age now, during the pandemic, during COVID, they were going through puberty. So we know
Mm,
energetically that already is crazy for our energy body and what's happening. And then
right.
what I understand is that, as like I said, we're the collective for me is music. That's why I see it. Energy is like a big, huge piece of beautiful music. And
Right.
each one of us individually has our own very specific tone within this beautiful piece of music. When we're out of tone or tune, that's when our vibration or frequency is off, and the whole song is kind of funky for us, right? So
Right.
the way I looked at it was, okay, so we were in this energy, all of this energy is happening around us. We're feeling it, we're in this. And then all of a sudden, we're all told, go inside, shut down, you've got to be protected. Okay. For us adults that have lived in this world, we've done that. We've gone all by ourselves alone. So we can go through that change in energy, right? We
Mm-hmm.
kind of just navigate it, some of it still is affecting a lot of people, right? That what happened,
Yes.
even adults. But for these kids specifically, they were in all this noise, the kids, and then all of a sudden they're taken and they're put in this bubble, if you will, where the energy is just kind of quiet. Then all of a sudden they get blasted back into all of the noise, and they're already going through a physiological change energy wise. The
Yeah.
confusion is tremendous. But what I've also found with this generation is that they're looking because they are confused.
Right.
And so that's the beauty. So I've been really trying to reach out to parents, and with the teens are just they're just it's teens, it's already a hard time, but I really find for this generation it's even more difficult because they went through that transition and not understanding it. And us as adults, we didn't recognize that because we were used to that. So the impact that it had on the kids was so much greater. So I do find that the kids now, and I, with even just your beautiful, amazing podcast, just having this podcast to be able to put this information out there, accessible to so many, is so tremendous. And I think this new generation is it's gonna be a little different for them. I
Yeah.
think
And
the way
I've made the comment that it's like really a great time to be alive, and I mean
yeah,
that because of the breakdown of the falseness of the way we have been in society, because that's not what it's about. It's about that connectedness. It's about that love. It's about,
yeah,
sharing your garden and giving your shares of your bounty so your neighbor can share their bounty and you can have more of whatever. And I
yes,
feel like we're getting back there. And
yes,
you made a good point about that puberty age group. I didn't even think about that, but that really made it even that much worse because it was hard for everyone.
yeah,
It turned the world upside down. Now you think about those teens that
yeah,
have parents that are not grounded or connected, that are still
exactly.
not understanding who they are. So now it's not just, the society has let them down, the world is upside down than what they were taught that it was going to be. And then they're trying to figure out who they are because their energy's all wonky, and then their parents are all wonky. It's like, where do they go? Where do they go? And I've noticed that shows, I do get younger people that come to me for
Yeah,
readings and guidance. And, I offer a free 20-minute consultation call for people that are interested or want to know what spiritual counseling is. You can go right on my website and schedule it. And then, that way they know if it's a good fit. And then, I do offer, if I'm guided, because I've listened to them all the time when it comes to what I should be doing.
yeah,
Maybe sometimes in my personal life I get a little off, but so
I
if
hear
I
you.
know that the person is truth and they're really honestly wanting to do the work, I always manage to work some kind of program out that is workable for them, that, affording wise, time wise, whatever. But I'm very careful in how I discern it because there's a lot of energy suckers out there, people that'll just take, and you get to know what the difference is. Being of love and seeing the love in everyone. Sometimes we can get knocked down at the knees because we
Hmm.
we want to see the love in everyone, but they're not
Yeah,
always coming from that loving intention. So we do have to be mindful of that as well.
I
But
agree.
keep
Been there,
sending it
done
out
that.
there.
Are you talking to me for something I just did last week? I'm just kidding. It's true. It's true. You want to save everybody, but people, it's not about that. It's just about having
No,
people see their own light. And it's not me, again, to your point, it's not me. It's just the conduit, just to be able to help.
right.
But yeah, it does become very dangerous to get connected in with so much and to try to do so much and wanting to make sure
Yeah,
that the people coming to you really want the help and don't want to get stuck in that emotion, because sometimes they just want to be validated in that. And so that's not healing. If you just want to be
right.
validated in your emotion, that's not where the movement's going to happen. That's not the point.
Right. It's like you throw the lifeline over the boat and they pull you down with them instead of you being able to pull them over. You have to know when to let go of that lifeline.
Yeah, I always say, when does the therapy end and the healing begin? When does the therapy end and the healing begin? We got
Right.
like, let's get to the healing.
Right.
The therapy's
Right.
great,
Right.
and we got to do those things, but the point of it is to heal, so that you can
I
be healthy.
know. I know. When a counseling client leaves the nest, so to speak, it's like because I'm happy because I did my job. And then there's some that, it's like, no, you don't really need, well, I want to schedule once a month. It's like, well, you really don't need, well, I like checking in with you. And I was like, okay, because you know that you're doing the healing. You're on your own now because you went through the trauma. We got rid of that, cleared that away. But it's fun to watch. And it
Yes.
really is. It's so rewarding. It's like I say, because I'm a hugger, and when I see people at live events, I always say, "Or do you mind a hug?" No, no. And the best thing about a hug is you can't give one without getting one. And it's the
Yeah.
same thing when you are doing the loving, healing work.
Yep.
The reward we get by doing, I'm getting chills talking about this because it
Me
is so
too.
powerful. It is
Everybody's got.
so powerful that and that's what keeps you going, because it's not
Yes.
always easy. Now
No.
you're working, this is what you do 100% of the time. This is what I do
Right.
100% of the time. I'm a single woman.
Me too.
I don't have any other source of income, and it fluctuates, and you don't know sometimes, but you just trust,
Yeah.
because you know that you will always have what you need. And that's where the difference is, when you align yourself and stay in that trust. And just last week I got a zinger. I got a zinger. I had my first card deck, and I was ready to go. I thought I was going to have them, and the the company screwed things up, and now I got this thing going to dispute it. And so those things happen.
Yeah.
And it just is like, I got knocked down a little bit, but I was like, okay, yeah, it's all right. It's only a deck of cards. It's like they'll come out when they're supposed to. It's like I learned a valuable lesson, though, because it wasn't the company I wanted to use in the first place. And so it's like when I said I don't always listen to that guidance when it's me personally. I should have listened to that guidance when it was me personally. But it's okay, because
I understand fully.
yeah, right. See, we
I
are
do.
human. We are human at times. I mean,
Yeah.
because we live in this human 3D world, as you put it. And so we get caught up sometimes, and it's okay. It's okay because we have the tools. We know how to get right back. Just taking that deep centering breath sometimes pulls it all in, gives us that check. So I don't have anybody asking any questions, but we only have a few people on. Now this show goes out to so many places, like it's on Rumble. I can't see Rumble chat. It's on Facebook. It's on Twitter. It goes out all over. So to those people that are going to be listening to the recorded show, I hope that you all get something really positive from this. You can always reach out. I love hearing from people too, so don't hesitate to shoot me an email. That would be wonderful. And all of your contact information, Sharon, I believe, is posted. Oh, I lost her. Yes, we have Sharon's website up, so um, you can find her there. We also have my Venmo account. Like I said, donations are appreciated. And if you have a small business, you can sponsor the show. You saw that I have that little commercial. You can also do that. Goldylocks Productions has a VIP program. They have merchandise for all the shows, and now there's merchandise for my show. So if you go to Goldylocks Productions website, you can find out the information about the VIP show. You can also look at the merchandise they have, and there are so many great show hosts. We have Marsha, Robin, Tiffany from Goldylocks. She has a show. Ruth, Carolyn, and Melissa. And I don't necessarily watch live, but I do try to catch up on everybody because they all have wonderful, fabulous messages. I just watched before my show. I watched the recorded of Robin's and Marsha's, and they were awesome shows. I mean, I can't. My hat goes off to Goldylocks, Tiffany at Goldylocks, because she really has made a beautiful family here, a beautiful community. We're creating that ripple effect of love and uplifting others, sending it out there, and this world really, really needs it. I'm I'm sad that we lost Sharon, but she's got some great, great energy. When I met her, I was like, "You got to be on my show." I knew it because she's fabulous. Oh, you're welcome, Robert. Thank you for the donation and thank you for being here. Tiffany just put up the Goldylocks Productions website and the shop. And she's running I think it's 25% off special right now. So take advantage of that. And don't forget to go to the Intention Teddy website. They are gorgeous. They are soft. They are adorable. If you know anybody that needs any healing or any uplifting, makes a great gift. It's a wonderful idea. You put the little crystals in the back so you can get the crystals that you want, put the intention out there. And I did say I will eventually, pretty soon, hopefully, have my own card deck that I channeled from Spirit coming out soon. And I have the essential oil chakra blends, which I am going to be putting out at the Karma Fest this weekend for the first time, 10 ml roll-ons. When I have them ready to sell online, I will let you know, but look for that. That's coming out. BeYOUtiful Essence chakra blends, aromatherapy. I'm excited about that. It took me a while. I had a line started, and then it was just too much competition and too many things. And then I was guided to, hey, you got really good blends for each chakra. Why don't you just do those 7? And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just do the 7 as my product. I'm not getting into all the other oils, and I'm selling them as a roll-on. So I'm excited for that as well. I am so happy for you all. Thank you for being here. And I will be back next week. Looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to Karma Fest this weekend. If you're in Havre de Grace, Maryland, check it out. It's all over my Facebook page. I'm looking forward to it. I hope to see some of you there. It's really a big, big event, and it's going to be a great time for everyone, not just the attendees, but all of us vendors as well. Thank you, Sharon, for being here. I'm sorry we lost you. I look forward to seeing you at Karma Fest. I will be giving a lecture on Saturday on self-care, soul care at Karma Fest. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Become a Goldylocks Productions VIP. Join our circle of VIPs and receive exclusive access to live stream specials and other epic perks. You can join the Goldylocks Productions VIP communities either through Patreon or the YouTube community. Join today.